All right, guys. Hello, 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 and welcome to tonight's stream. Today, we're going to be answering the question whether we play him or her at the World Championship coming up in basically 4 weeks. But with pro quests going on and, travel time, it is essentially 3 weeks. So not a lot of time to figure this out. So I thought, well, I only have 2 or 3 more streams left before that. So I thought I would spend today's stream analyzing where I think the metagame is, where it might develop going into the World Championship. We're not going to make a tier list or anything like that. That's more of Nathan's thing. I'm just going to be kind of analyzing the metagame from a more general perspective. And maybe talk a little bit about ProQuest, and basically we are going to decide which warrior we are going to take to the Worlds. Now, I have been asked by my teammates, why would you bring warrior to the World Championship? And it is very, very simple. Because I like playing warrior. It's just that simple. Some people are meta chasers. Some people like to play the best deck. Some people like to try to snipe the best deck. I'm the type of man that just likes to play what he likes to play. It is just that simple. Obviously, warrior is not in the greatest position right now, but that's okay. We will improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what we're going to be doing. All right. Before we begin, a little bit of continuity on this stream I think is nice. A couple streams ago, we opened up a snack box from Hong Kong, and, well, these are Japanese snacks, even though they came from Hong Kong. We're going to be trying a couple of these today, as the stream goes on, get myself in that, Japan mood. So these are, they say these are the tough gummies, and there are basically 3 types of them. I'm a quarter Japanese, but I can't read any of this, so we will use our tongue to figure out what these 3 flavors are, and then we'll make a tier list for these flavors, I guess. So we'll do that. All right, so let us transition over to here. Now, there's going to be a lot of talking today. I may play some games. We will see. Okay, so let's chit-chat a little bit, chat about the state of the metagame and where we are. So, there are some decks that I think people are just starting to wake up on. And the chief of them, it's not Enigma. It's not any of the new heroes from Rosetta. It is Viserai and Vincent. And how do I know this? Well, there's a lovely tab here under stats. And we can see that it is October 1st here in the US. It is 8 p.m. right now. And the most played deck right now is actually Viserai. And he has an astonishingly high win rate as well. He is being played more than any of the new heroes. Any more than, the old guard like Enigma and New. And, he's doing well. So we have that to discuss. We have to talk about how there are a couple decks in the format that we saw. There was a Battle Hardened in Milwaukee. We saw there was a Calling in Lyon. There was also the AGE Open. I think most of those events were won by Enigma. However, Viserai is actually pretty strong against Enigma. Enigma doesn't really interact much with Viserai. And the rune chance generation now with all the new tools from Rosetta is actually quite strong. Vincent, I also think, is pretty strong. That's a little bit less developed. So we'll see if people can kind of discover that. But basically, I want to make a... I said I wasn't going to make a tier list. We're not going to make a tier list. We're going to make a chart. All right, so we're going to make a chart. Not a chart, sorry. We're going to make a table. All right. So I think there's basically two ways to categorize decks. Decks that use decks people will bring, decks people won't bring, decks people should bring, as in strong, and decks people shouldn't bring. Okay. So an example of like these two is very simple. So right there's like literally there were 0 Guardians in Lyon in day 2. And we saw literally 0 copies of Bravo, 0 copies of Arachne. I'm just gonna be real. You shouldn't be playing Olympia. You probably shouldn't be playing Betsy either. I mean, there's a lot of heroes that fall into this category here, right? Now, here we have decks like Enigma, decks like Aurora, stuff like that. Now, this one is actually very interesting. This is basically the overrated section of the chart, right? And chief among them, I think, is actually KO right now. He had a very, very poor conversion rate, and it's like at this point, rune blades have the same speed, the same armor, but they're a bit more consistent. They have a little bit more split damage. They can go wider if they need to. So I don't actually think right now there's a real reason to play KO. You should just be playing Aurora or Viscera or something like that. All right. Now, you guys in the chat, now, I am not the be-all, know-it-all, especially when it comes to more general fab things. Obviously, I'm a very, very specialized player. If you guys have any thoughts about, you know, where decks kind of go here, let's hear them, because I think this is an important exercise, because obviously we will focus mainly on these two columns. Now, hopefully, this is where Bolton and Dory end up, but maybe they won't after we discuss it all. All right. Oh, shit. That's not what I wanted. Delete a column. There we go. Okay. Should bring. Shouldn't bring. All right. Any other suggestions for decks in this section? Now, just to refresh your memory, these are all the heroes in the game. Okay, so once we identify maybe the top 10 decks, then we can actually go through and, you know, decide which one is better. Now, so this is my personal deck contenders, right? So let's list out what type of warrior decks exist. I think in one of these I wrote down what exists. Ah, yes, Josh's personal enjoyment of it. Okay, so these are roughly all of the things that exist. We can kind of just copy this. Okay. So okay. So all right, there's actually some new lists that actually exist now. There is there's Saber Hot Streak Dory. So let's just group these by hero, right? So Dory, there are basically 4 styles. Now there are some hybrid styles that combine Dawnblade and Saber Hot Streak, or Dawnblade and Decimator. So we'll put those as that. Bolton, there's actually 5 Bolton styles as well. There's a light focused Bolton, and there's a go again focused. So the go again focused one would be like Glint the Quicksilver, probably would be running on sheets and stuff like that. All right, Kasai basically has 2. Either player more defensively or more aggressively. And Olympia has 2. Now, all right. So there's actually quite a few possibilities. Now, if we're going to be real, we're basically looking at... if I'm being real with you guys, we're looking at... There's actually 2 versions of Dawnblade as well. Okay. So there's actually a lot of styles for Dorinthia. There's actually like 6. Which is actually kind of crazy. When you think about it. And like... I've played every single style here, which is actually kind of crazy. They're all quite different, actually, as well, which is kind of interesting. Shouldn't bring Victor. That's actually a good point. We need to discuss how Guardians... We actually need a Dark Horse area as well. This actually reminds me of... Now, the reason why I'm going to put Victor in like this special Dark Horse area is because if you have Viserai being possibly the most represented deck at Worlds, this is not this deck is real. One of the best counters to Viserai is actually Victor. Now, what percent of people like to play the best deck versus, you know, break the meta? At Worlds, roughly 50% of people are going to be playing the best deck, or what they consider to be the best deck. 30% of people are going to be trying to snipe those best decks, and 20% of people are going to be kind of like me. They just play whatever they want to play, right? So I think for a lot of those people that are trying to snipe the best deck, Victor's actually much better than it looks. Victor, I think, does actually quite well into Viserai, so yeah. Alright, show me the Dawnblade Dory. We might play some games after this. I played a few matches with Bolton, with a buddy who plays Enigma. Kind of scary how if I have a couple of off turns where I can't get 3 attacks, he can build his board and run me over. Yeah, so one of the important things about playing Raiden Bolton against Enigma is you get your Tunic to 3, you put like a very strong card into Arsenal, and you kind of wait. Basically, when the Enigma player tries to go off, you have to immediately respond to that. And so having Tunic, like the best case scenario is having Tunic V in your Arsenal. That's like, you're basically going to break through and stop their momentum, so... We saw several games at the Milwaukee Battle Hardened that I think were really well played by Alex. Flame Dog. He played those very, very, very well. If you haven't seen those games, go watch those. Kano should bring... Yeah, I actually think... yeah, Kano's probably here. Dynamo Warriors are pretty good into everything that's not Enigma. Now, that is actually very true. Especially with the game being more balanced and slow. And Dynamo Warriors actually have the benefit of being able to fatigue dash IO, which I think is definitely going to be over here. Seems like Victor can bop the Rune Blades. Exactly, yes. But man, does he drown versus Enigma. Yeah, that's... I don't actually know if Enigma is going to be the most represented deck. That's actually... Let's take a poll. I want this to be a very, very interactive stream, because I don't know everything. So I kind of want to get a good feel for what you guys think. Is Enigma going to be the most represented deck at Worlds? Yes or no? Or don't know. Okay. All right. So I started a poll in the chat. I kind of want to get a sense of where you guys are thinking. Like, is Enigma going to be the most popular deck or not? Because if Enigma is the most popular deck, like, first of all, I'm going to be extremely sad as a Warrior player. Obviously, both Illusionists are very, very strong. Ironically, we saw some Prisms doing very, very well this weekend, so I kind of want to look deeper into that. It might just be because, you know, Prisms caught people off guard, or, you know, KO and Victor, which are like the decks you want to play against Prism, you know, aren't that prevalent in the winners metagame. Are you actually bringing Warrior to ProQuest? Most of my ProQuests are actually draft, so that's not really the issue there. But yes, if I was to play a ProQuest CC, I would be bringing Warrior. I have not registered another hero or another class ever in a rated event. Victor into Aurora is not bad either. Yes, that's why I'm like thinking like Victor is actually like the deck that you might want to be on if you want to like metagame the metagame. So it's interesting how all the classes and heavy hitters are now struggling. Brute, Guardian Warrior do not like magic damage. That's true. Oh, Josh, what's your experience playing against Count Your Blessings deck so far? It really depends which version you're playing. Like, overall, I think if you're playing aggressively, you're fine. But if you're trying to play a value game into a lot of those decks, it's not really where you want to be. Enigma is 100% going to be the most popular deck. Well, let's see what the chat thinks. Let's see. Let's pull this up. How do I... Interesting. Okay, so 50% of people think yes. 30% think no. We're gonna have to see, I guess. Okay. So, let's get back to this. So, basically, let's try to fill in as many of these heroes as we can. All right. Okay. Any other heroes that you think would go in this section here? Azalea. You know what? I think we actually need 3. We actually need to make this a 3x3. let's say, popular. What's a... All right, so I think Azalea kind of falls over here. She's actually pretty strong. Has tools to deal with Enigma, has tools to deal with Aurora. Dash IE probably falls under this as well. Now, there's a caveat. Dash IE might actually LL, so yeah. I think Max probably goes over there. I think all the brutes actually go here, which is saying a lot. Now, Zen, I want to highlight two heroes because these are the ones that I think really need to watch out for. Now, it's a little bit hard to do that with dark mode. I don't want to blind you guys, so I'm using dark mode. But Viserai and Zen have a lot of potential to upset things. I'll explain in a little bit why. Oh boy. Katsu. Bye. Somewhat popular. I think new is going to be in this section. Somewhat popular. Now, it's actually very interesting because we have 31 heroes, so having a 10% meta share is actually very large. I'd say 8% plus. That might be a better... Okay, something like that. Might be a better way to look at it. You know what? I'm going to get my phone out. Acilio and Teklo? Yeah, they probably go over here. I think Riptide probably falls here. Now, let me pull up all the heroes so I can see them easily. And then we could talk about whether we agree or disagree on things. All right, so we did Arachne, we've done Aurora, we've done Azalea, Betsy, Bravo is here, Dash, we've done Dorinthia. We're gonna be biased here. Phi, we put already. Florian. Oh, Florian is actually, I think, gonna be pretty popular. Now, I actually don't know. Now, the thing is, like, Aurora, Viserai, and Florian, they all, like, they might pull from the same pool of people that enjoy that type of game. So, Florian is actually being played quite a bit. Now, the question is that because he's new, or, like, there's a better way to look at this, right? We can do like this. So we can actually see, like, based on the size of the bubble, right? Let me pull this down a bit. Right? So the heroes that are getting played... Oh, shit. The heroes that are getting played a lot. It's Aurora, Azalea. Azalea has always been, like, steadily popular. Dash IO, this is going to shoot up after the Armory deck comes out. Enigma is popular. Florian's popular. You know, the Brutes are seeing some popularity, but we've actually seen their win rate now drop below 50, which I think is very telling. New is being consistent. You know, Acilia's new, but he's not that great. Verdance is probably the third most popular hero. It looks like I think the most popular is Aurora, followed by Florian, and it's pretty close. And then Verdance and then Acilia. But yeah, we're seeing quite a bit of Runeblade play right now. So I think Florian's probably going to be pretty popular. Verdance is probably over here. Now there's several builds for her, so yeah. Kano we put already. Kasai, I think she has to go down here. Okay. Prism we already put. Riptide we put. Bolton. All right, I'm going to put all the heroes there, and then I'm going to talk to you, chat. Give me a second. All right, so Tekla, we already put. Azuri. God, I don't know where to put her. Probably here. Reset that. Oh, shit. Nope. That's not what I want. Victor, Victor has to go here then. And where I haven't put Vincent yet, so we'll put Vin. And then where is Zen? Zen's there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, so we have all 31 heroes now placed on this board. All right, so let's chit-chat about whether you or not you guys agree with these. Now, these question marks are the ones I'm not so sure about. Do you guys think we should actually like make this a 3x3, or do you think this 2x3 is enough? Do we need to have like strong, mid, weak, or is that getting too close to tier list section? All right, let's see. My buddies won't play Count Your Blessings, but so far I feel like Tempo Flooring could do decently well into it. Yeah, all the Rune Blades deal with that Dirtle strategy decently. Azalea new, probably not new. Does Riptide also fall into somewhat popular? I think Riptide kind of falls here, which is a little bit sad to see. What's the new hotness with Zen since the Art of War banned? I don't know if there really is a new hotness with Zen. You just play the Tiger line and be aggressive. Prism into shouldn't somewhat popular. Prism might be here. I think the ban actually like caused a lot of people to switch to Enigma, but whether or not the ban was that impactful, I mean, obviously it impacts the matchups where she has to go for the combo, but if you look at a lot of the matchups in the game, like if the Brutes and Guardians are not alive, like Herald Prism doesn't need Tome of Divinity. Herald aggro Prism actually is annoying AF against a lot of heroes. Yes, the yearly Warrior for World stream with Josh. Yes. So we are on a journey just like we always are. Question, can I have 2 copies of Grains of Blood Spill in my sideboard? Or am I limited to only 1 copy? Asking for Olympia. You can have up to 3 copies of any one card, whether it's an equipment or a specific card. So yes, run Courage of Bladehold or Tunic or whatever you want to run. Or you can run double Grains, it's also fine. Seems like a mid is kind of needed. This is not the chart I'm used to. Yes. Well, this is basically a chart that we made. We've made a lot of XY charts, and we put them into quadrants. This is basically putting them into quadrants, right? So, yeah. Thinks like we need a third section. All right. We're basically making a tier list then, guys. All right. Add a column. Sorry, row bully. All right. Something like this. Now the thing is, I don't think you can put either one of these at the in here. um, I don't know if a lot changes actually. I think you probably move these here. I think you might move Verdance down as well. Okay, something like that. How does this look? Let's skip the middleman and make a tier list. No, I don't want to make a tier list. That's Nathan's thing. All right. I'm just trying to. I just want to get a general sense of the meta so I can decide whether to pick Dory or Bolton, and then which of these like 15 deck styles I want to bring. I mean, let's keep it real. We're not playing Kasai or Olympia Worlds, okay? But and we're probably not. We're just. All right, let's keep it real, guys. Okay, we're not playing Olympia, even if the coin lands. If the coin lands on the straightness, we'll play Kasai. Okay, we're not playing Olympia. We're not gonna play Decimator because we respect ourselves, so we're not gonna do that. Now, the matchup spread basically falls into two different sections, right? If you take any of these, you're targeting something. If you take basically if you're dual wielding, you're targeting something completely differently, right? So we're gonna have to talk through it because I think this is actually very complicated. And yeah. All right. Bring Kasai up to mid. All right. We can't have all the warriors be trashed here, okay? Kasai, I actually think Kasai might be... If dual wield is actually okay right now, then obviously Kasai is okay right now. The question is dual wield okay right now? Now, if we look at the stats again a little bit, like Dory, she's doing fine. The fact that she has a much higher win rate going second means I think all the Dories that you've been playing on Talishar are Dawnblade these days, right? You see a Refraction Bolters on sale for 75. That's kind of tempting. I mean, if it's a cold foil Refraction Bolters, that might be the way to do it. Give Olympia a weapon. Amen. Aurora might be mid. Ooh. That's a hot take. You think Aurora's here? It depends how strict we are with what we consider to be strong. Like, the definition of strong is the 50% of people that chase the meta deck would be on one of these, right? So if we combine all this should be like 50% at least. Probably more. Yeah. A rainbow foil bolters is $75. That doesn't make sense. What type of bolters is a common, right? Yeah. It's just WTR common. You should be able to get that easily for like $5 or less. Okay. Cold foil bolters is $120. I might have to pick me up some. Although I generally play just with rainbow foils. Okay, let's chit chat here a little bit about the meta. So if this is roughly what we consider to be the meta, is there any common themes? So let's talk about themes of the meta. Let's just write this down. Okay. Now, Florian can be built many different ways, but I think most people have landed on a more mid-range style for Florian. So, yeah. I won't put him here as aggro, but, like, yeah. Right? Dash IE can be built many different ways, but I think if you're playing Dash IE, you're playing Slab Dash at Worlds. Like, Dash IO does the aggro thing better than Dash IE does. The only thing is that Dash IO is like, you can only play one style, whereas Dash IE can play two styles, but I don't know if that's the best strategy at the moment. So basically, we have some aggro decks. We have and we have some disruptive decks. So this is actually very classic triangle that we have. Okay, so I'm just going to put all the aggro decks together. Like, it's fine. Okay. Okay, so basically, there's quite a few more aggro decks than there are non-aggro decks, which is actually interesting. Because if the aggro percentage is actually high, that's generally bad for Enigma and for Prism. The thing is, those decks are just so strong that, like, I don't know. Like I said, I think we've really seen a lot of movement on Viserai, which kind of makes me think that I know 64% of you guys said Enigma's going to be the most represented deck. I mean, if Viserai really becomes popular, I don't know if that's the case. Because the split damage is just so hard to deal with as Enigma. Oh, you're talking about Dynamos. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. What's good, Josh? My brother and I were hyped for Bolton that topped the Battle Hardened after watching him beat Enigma not once but twice. Yeah, that was a really good game. OG Dash might not even be alive for Worlds. Yes, I actually think there's a decent chance. I think if Dash IE wins 19 of the 500 something pro quests, she's gone. So very possible Dash IE is not even there. KO mid? Yeah. KO very mid. KO had an awful conversion rate in Leon. Like, the worst, I think. I think this has higher highs, but more variance prone. Which is actually interesting, because I've heard that Vincent actually is, like, fairly stable now. Which I think a lot of teams are going to look at these two heroes. Okay. So the theme, like I said, is that, okay, there's a lot of aggro decks running around. In theory, they should be good against these decks. So we might just put our head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend that illusionists don't exist. That may be the play for Worlds, guys. Obviously, there are still some disruptive decks. These are all fairly annoying for... yeah, they're all... So, Dorinthia does better against Azalea and Azuri, and worse against New and Victor. And Bolton is the exact opposite. Bolton does better against New and Victor, and worse against Azalea and Azuri. So that's kind of a wash. This doesn't really matter here. As for the combo, well, Bolton is probably slightly better against Kano because you have Soul Bond plus Halo plus yeah, you could be running Banner of Protection as well. But then again, if you're playing a more mid-range Dory, you probably have Tunic plus Oasis Respite, so you'd be fine there. As for Max, both warrior decks are not that great against Max. Unless you're a combo Bolton deck, this is kind of an annoying matchup. The thing is, like, you're decent against the overpower mechanic, but, like, they have to banish several high octanes for it to be bad. Okay, so I think the question actually comes down to which warrior deck is better against aggro. I think that's actually just the question. Now the thing is, yeah, that's basically the question. Which deck is better against aggro? I think okay. Phi has that 100% conversion rate in Leon, though. Yeah. I mean, Phi won the Worlds last year, so you never know. Enigma is just the most popular now, while people perfect the other lists. I think, like you said, aggro will beat them out of the meta. Isn't Verdansk combo the one? So there's several versions of Verdansk, but the combo did. There was I think in the semifinals, there was a combo Verdansk versus like a more mid-rangey Verdansk. Or were they both combo? I think when I saw their game, they both had potions on the board, so I don't know. Has to be Dory, right? Max and Bolton seem like similar decks. Yes. Yes. If they're playing combo, they are similar. So that's my first instinct as well, Thomas, is that Dory is better into aggro decks. Now the question is that, like, these are... None of these decks really run D-Reacts, although they have armor. So it's like, that's really a weird situation. When you play against... So these aggro decks... I mean, Aurora might run some. Maybe Sync and Sigil, right? Viscerai may run some as well. But basically, Dash Vincent probably is not running, unless it's an OTK Vincent, then obviously you're running a ton. But most builds are not of these decks are not running D-Reacts against you. And these are running very few. Now the issue is they all have armor. So that's actually kind of annoying. So when you need to now in the past, Courage of Bladehold was actually run against more defensive decks. Now you might be like, well, Josh, those defensive decks mean the game's going to go 20 turns. Isn't Tunic better there? The reason is that if you did not get a triple hit against those very defensive decks, you were going to lose the game. So what is my point here? Is that I think we're in another meta where if we don't triple hit these aggro decks, we are not going to win. So I'm leaning towards right now, like Courage of Bladehold, aggro Dawnblade, or a very aggressive Raiden list. That's running something like Snapdragons and Warband for max consistency. Yeah. What do you guys think? That's where my head is at right now. Dory is probably the deck into a field that doesn't block very well. That's what I think so as well. Dory with the Tunic Shunt package could be good into all the mid decks, right? Or am I just BSing? I'm not a warrior player. So if you play with Tunic Shunt, a lot of the decks right now cannot fit a Courage of Blade. Basically, if you're running Tunic Shunt, you generally are running Grains of Bloodspill. If you're running Courage of Bladehold, you are just running Courage of Bladehold. And you're going. Now, Dustpath Pilgrimage. That's a card I could never get to work. To be honest. You just need so much sources to go again. You need so many things to line up well. I think just using Twinning Blade is probably better. But I mean, Dustpath is also pretty good too. I don't know. I've never been able to get that card to work. Dustpath Pilgrimage. And there's so many competing cards now in that red front pump slot now. It's like, well, obviously you're playing Steelblade Supremacy and Warrior's Valor and Spoils of War, and you're probably playing some copies of Ironsong Determination. You're probably playing some copies of Unsheathed at this point, right? So it's like, okay, how many... You might even be running Dauntless at this point. So it's like, how many how many front pumps can you fit? So, okay. So let's talk specifically about these two decks, because I actually think it basically comes down to these two. Now that I guess the first question is, do we need combo in our Bolton deck? And I think the answer is no. Just looking at this, combo has fallen so hard in the last year. Like, they've given tools to Brutes, to Illusionists, to Rune Blades. Ever since they gave Mech Pulse Wave Harpoon, it was already really, really annoying. Like, the ninjas have CNC access. So, yeah. I mean, in many ways, I think this is like something that LSS has tried to do for like the last year and a half is they like, okay, we really want more interaction and we're deathly afraid of combo Bolton. So yeah. All right, so if we're not playing combo, that means we can get rid of all these. So yeah. Hybrid lists I feel like are better at lower tier events. At higher tier events, I think you need to have a strategy and go hard on it. So we'll take that one out. Now there's still several other possibilities. Dual wielding Dory. I feel like doesn't put enough pressure on people. Now, granted, against a lot of these decks, Dynamos is nice, but then just killing them is also a very, very valid strategy. So, yeah. All right. I think we can eliminate these as well. Now, the question is... So, I'm going to put this back up here because I actually think there's actually 3 choices now. So... let's make some bullet points. So basically the difference between aggro Dawnblade and mid-range Dawnblade, this one is brains. So this version has a lot more defensive tools. The defensive tools in this list is basically Sync Fate and maybe Oasis if you're really respecting Kano. Yeah. So now the question is if you're running aggro Dawnblade Dory and you get paired into Enigma, how do you win the game? Can you win the game is the question. I actually think that's really, really, really tough. Chat, if 67% of you guys think that Enigma is going to be the most represented deck, this is all on gem look, basically, then. You basically have to get paired into these aggro decks, and you gotta go real fast. As Dory. You gotta go real fast. Now, the issue is that they have armor, which is a huge pain in the butt. I don't know. Let's take another pull. All right, a new poll. I'm actually curious to see what you guys think. All right, I will be back in about 1 minute. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Please vote on the poll. I will be back very, very shortly. All right, I am back. Okay. Oh boy. Aggro Dawnblade Dorinthia currently behind Aggro Raiden Bolton. Interesting. There's no way Aggro Bolton can win against Dio. Now there's actually a secret deck here that I actually didn't put down. Now, when you say switch Bolton, most of the time you are talking about a deck that switches between the Saber combo and Raiden. But there is another type of switch deck that switches between Raiden and Pure Fatigue. This one is a little bit rarer. Normally, you combine the Sabers with Fatigue, but because you are a Warrior deck and Warrior decks block extremely well, this is another option. Now, whether or not there's actually enough sideboard slots for this, I don't know. Dory can't do it into Enigma. Well, yes, that's true. But Dory is much better into Dio, yes. I think in general, Dory is better into the aggro decks. But Bolton is actually very interesting because if you can get into a late game scenario with Bolton against most of those decks here, you're generally very favored because they have to start blocking you, and as soon as they start blocking you, like let's talk about the most classic example, okay? 2-card Bolton. When you have, let's say you have red Beaming Bravado and a yellow card, okay? So you play the red Beaming Bravado, charge the yellow card, you give it go again, and you attack with Raiden. If they're not blocking you, that's a 2-card 7. If they are blocking you on both of the attacks, that's a 2-card 9. So if you get into a late game scenario as Bolton, you actually play the back and forth 2-card hands somewhat decently against them. And if you can ever hold a 3-card hand with Lumina, you basically win the game as well. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't lose against Dio as Dory unless they max V me at least twice, but she has no game into Enigma or Florian. Yeah, let's talk about the matchup spread. So Dory, bad matchups. So Enigma, Florian, Max is also probably pretty bad. New is very annoying. Everything else she's fine against. Victor is also annoying. Okay. So these are probably I'm pretty sure most people would agree that these are the worst matchups for Dory. Right? And then oh shit. All right. Okay. Okay, and as for Bolton, I think Viscera is quite good against him. Dash IO does a, I don't know. That one's kind of in the middle. Azalea is very annoying. Uh Riptide is also pretty bad. Riptide's kind of in the middle, I'd say. Okay, so actually, guys, well, well, you think Levi is tough as well? Levi is very tough if you're going first. um, when Dio hits, nothing else will be a problem other than her. I mean, we've seen that Dash.io is like extremely busted with the new cards, so you might be right. Beamy Blade Bolton or Jubil Olympia? Neither, Matt, neither. I think Enigma is about the only deck I would worry about from that list. If you're playing Dory? Riptide eats Dory? Yeah, if they're playing the defensive Riptide, yes. There are so many decks that are now just randomly running 9 to 12 D-Reacts. Well, here's the thing. D-Reacts are good against both Dory and Bolton. So, but if you're pure Raiden Bolton, you're actually you're not having to rely on them blocking a lot. So, Dory wins against Dio, nothing else matters. That is true. However, I do think there is a Bolton build that can be built fatiguey. That I really, really think I'm gonna have to test this, but I'm pretty sure every single warrior, even Olympia, can fatigue dash because they all have 3 blocks, they all have armor, and you generally are not sideboarding in extra cards as dash IO, right? So yeah, the latest dev talk did talk about the Cerebellum processor and the what's it called? High Octane. They did mention both of those as being possibly problematic. And that was more in the context of Max's design being limited by the existence of High Octane. So the solution is count your blessings, Dory. Ah, yes. Let's troll some people. Okay. Let's just add this in here. So if people just randomly show up to the stream, they click around, they're like, oh shit, CYB Dory? Fatigue is like a 30% win rate strategy against Dash.io. It really depends on what they... Here's the thing, at Worlds, you're probably right. You're probably playing against good Dash.io players, so yeah. Best fatigue has to be Olympia, right? He can rebuy armor. Well, if you're fatiguing, you're not generating gold, generally. Domblade Dory at least has a proactive plan, yes. Is Dual Swords Dory not playable? I think she is. That's actually the deck I want to test the most, is Dual Wield Dory. Like Dual Sword Dory, not Dual Axe Dory. Is the upgraded Armory Bolton deck you put out basically aggro Bolton? Aggro Bolton, why don't we build an aggro Bolton list? I think it's been a while. People might have forgotten what this looks like. So an aggro Raiden Bolton list. It's probably running this. It's running this. It's running this. It's obviously running this. We're running this. Running this. there's a lot of equipment in the aggro Bolton build. All right, so you're probably playing Gleaming Bravado, red and yellow. Now, aggro Bolton can actually be built in many different ways. You can run it as a Cheerios deck, or you can run it as a mid-range deck that doesn't use, that basically relies on things like Valiant Thrust and Bolting Blade for damage. Or you can build it as a, more via the Vanguard focused deck. So, okay, couple of those. You, depending on your build, you want 2 or 3 of these. I think most of the time you're running 2. Engulfing Light is pretty good. Some lists run Express Lightning, but, not sure. Light the Way is still decent these days because people don't want to block. This card is actually way more annoying than it looks. Some decks run Resounding Courage, but I think most of the time you're just relying on Take Flight and V as your Tunic outlet. Spirit of War can see some usage, so I think this one's actually underplayed. Take Flight is obviously good. Valiant Thrust is obviously good. And in terms of bannerets, you run these 2, obviously. You could run this in the sideboard if you have room. I think this one's decent against Kano. Beacon of Victory, obviously very good. So one of the things that kind of defines an aggro list is that you're running Bolting Blade as like a main deck card instead of as a popper. This actually really helps your damage output if you can go like V and double charge into Bolting Blade. Obviously, you're running Lumen Ascension. This is one of the best cards of all time. Oh, man. Good old Prayer Ballon. I like you, though. Saving Grace. Probably good enough. Spirit of Arena. Via the Vanguard. And, yeah. And we never look at the blue cards because they're blue. Red cards that are just light. I don't think there's any. And then the yellows, obviously, there's... Lumina Lance has actually seen some more play these days. I think maybe 2 of those. You have Soul Shield and you have Cataclysm. And equipment-wise, you have Halo, Tunic, right? Snaps. Now, that's another signature card of aggressive Bolton. So basically, if you're playing like aggro matchups, you're running like Warband plus Snaps, Tunic, and Versus. If you're playing the slower matchups, you'd play the Warpath and maybe the Halo. And then if you really need the Soul Bond effect, then you'd be playing that as well. So there's actually a... Let's just put all these up there. Now, are we at 80? No, we're not near 80. But you can also add a couple other cards. I know that, E-Strike, Sink Blow are all fine to be running in the aggressive version. I kind of like Snatch as well. Yeah. But basically, you run a lot more equipment instead of the... No matter which version of Bolton you're playing, you're running like 12 equipment pieces. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. That's basically it. If you want like a more tuned list, go look at Flame Dog's list. His is actually tuned. Okay. Spirit of War is wicked undervalued. Yes, I agree. Mr. Blood, you said you have a good deck list for Bolton. Sure, you can send that to me on Discord. We could take a look at it. I've been playing hatches a lot, and it just seems that I cannot threaten enough damage. Yep, that is the case at the moment. Because you don't interact with the aggro decks. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about is sideboard cards. So things like Poison the Well. What's another really important one? Weakest Link. Right? Now, the issue with these is that Dorinthia and Bolton both don't really use these that well. I mean, obviously Dorinthia can use Poison the Well fine, but these are not the greatest cards in either warrior. So. Snag. Good point. Yeah. It's clearly time for Beaming Blade Library Bolton. You're cooking too much, Andy. You're cooking too much. Light the Way feels weird to me, not gonna lie. Well, the good thing about Light the Way is that if they don't block that, that's basically +1 soul. If they do block it, you can probably give it go again. So, yeah. I appreciate not wanting to blind us, but please change highlight color. It's completely unreadable. Ah. Oh, these ones. Okay, sure. Let's see. How about green? Yeah. We'll change these to green. Okay? Like that. Is that better? I don't actually know. Viscera and Zen and Victor are my dark horses. After Flame Dog pointed out it's like mini V turns, I've had a better play rate with it. What do you talk about mini V turns? You mean like going for mini via the Vanguard turns? Or like Valiant Thrust? CNC Erase Fates. Oh man. Yeah. There's a lot of important sideboard cards right now. Yeah. Okay, guys. So let's see if we can. Fortune sideboard cards. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay, so everything we've been talking about is a little bit more organized now. Okay. Spirit of War is like mini via Vanguard with all the courage tokens. Yeah. It requires a little bit of setup, but yeah. Okay. Well, guys, I feel like we it's actually interesting because my gut said aggro Bolt Dory was a better choice, but I think a lot of you guys think that Enigma is going to be popular. And if Enigma is this popular, then Raiden Bolton is actually better. Now, the thing is oh yeah, Balance of Justice. There's a lot of hats you got to wear in this meta. So if my theory that aggro is going to hate out illusionists is true, then Dory is probably better. But if Enigma and Prism find a way to be degenerate, which, let's face it, they probably will find a way to be degenerate, then Bolton will be better. So that's really the that's really what it comes down to. Now, most of you guys thought that Enigma would be the most popular, but that could be true, and it could be true that aggro does beat them up really badly. I like how Bolton has less, like, atrocious matchups. There's a lot of nice things about playing Bolton. You're protected against the most annoying things New does. You're protected against Kano high rolls to some degree. You have actual poppers against Prism. You don't just fall flat against Victor. There's a lot of nice things about Bolton. And one more thing to point out. When you play at the World Championship, you're playing against 1,800 ELO people. They know how to block Dory. And that is kind of an issue. If they know how to block Dory, then the power of Dory actually goes down quite a bit. Also, if they know you're on Dawnblade, that is also a problem too. So, I don't know. I feel like Dory's core is much larger than Bolton, requiring her to stay more focused in her builds. Playing cards that have low synergy can be crippling for your Dawnblade, my hot take. Well, a lot of these generic attack actions are bad in both, because if you're playing Weakest Link, then you aren't snowballing counters generally. If you play a Command and Conquer, you aren't snowballing counters. And this is not a light card, it's a red card. Like, Bolton builds, the only non-light cards they run is like Sink Below and Easter Egg generally. Ah, yes, people are not running Stonewall Gauntlet. That's another very important thing. Stonewall Gauntlet is not being played very much because Zen left. Stonewall shuts down a V-turn, yes. So does a lot of the... Enigma can actually shut down a single charge V-turn if you're not careful. But that's why you have Snapdragons. Enigma will sideboard to deal with these aggro matchups. The detail is whether or not this side will affect Bolton or Dory. That's interesting. That's actually thinking at a very high level, Mr. Blood. Warrior's actually a class that kind of demands that you have a particular sideboard. Like, if you don't have D-Reacts, you're basically forced into playing one game against Dory. So, sideboard swords. Right now, I don't think there's any matchup where you want to play Courage of Bladehold and go for the combo. I don't know. Do Enigmas even run Dense Blue Mist anymore? I wasn't talking about Dense Blue Mist. I was talking about, well, that card is actually very good, but Drop in the Ocean is actually very annoying for Dory. Or not, for Bolton. You basically have to have an extra card in Soul. So, I wasn't mentioning it in regard to Bolton, just as her core is tighter and doesn't have the natural toolbox Bolton has for this meta. Natural 7s, natural reactions, natural ability to gain additional action points. The ability to gain extra action points is not relevant at this time, but the others are. So he's referring to the fact that Bolton can get around the ALS loop with Spirit of Arena. Okay, guys. It looks like you guys are roughly on the Bolton MILB hype train. So we are going to we're gonna look at Bolton more, I guess. That's what we're gonna do. So if we've kind of narrowed it down to this. First of all, we need to test whether this is even viable and who would we want to fatigue anyways. It's like literally -io, but I don't even think that's like that good. So what tools can we bring to fight against -io? Which tools exist? If we think -io, let's say Enigma, Viscera, and -io are like the most played decks. And they're like the strongest. Right? Enigma, Viscera, -io. What type of changes to our deck should we make? What's MILB? Chat, tell him what MILB is. Man, I love Bolton. Man, I love Bolton. I even have a t-shirt that says MILB on it. I think Enigma will use more defense reactions. That is very bad for... just in general for Warrior. The more defensive the Enigma deck is, actually the worse it is. Man, I love Bolton. That's right, Wesley. Metal says one word, combo. Please expand on that. Metal is one of the best Bolton players in North America, so I'm be very, very interested to hear some thoughts from him. So if we're gonna build a focused Bolton deck now, -io. Yeah, I think that I was just about to. I just connected the dots, Metal. That combo is actually the play into -io. Now that's actually very interesting because she has 36 health. And for those of you who played combo Bolton, you guys know that the difference between 40 and 35 and 30 is massive, especially in a deck that cannot block. I think against -io, you can go off with like one card in soul or something. It might even be enough. You think you don't need that for that matchup, but it probably improves it. So if -io is popular, then sacrificing 4 sideboard slots might be the play there. The only interaction -io has for that matchup is Pulse Wave Harpoon. And backup protocol getting Pulse Wave Harpoon back. Yeah. You could write a letter to LSS and demand High Octane be banned. That's not going to happen. High Octane is almost certainly going to be part of the Worlds metagame. Wear it to Worlds and win with Bolton. Maybe I'll wear my MILB shirt underneath my jersey, and then I can like rip it off or something. I have a lot of Bolton swag. I got this too. I like Bolton a lot. I think a very strong card is that all you got. Nice for a few decks. Aurora, New, Dio. Yeah, that's a very good card. Yeah. This is actually a card that I think is actually that is increasing in importance, because a lot of the so Dash IO, Dash IE obviously going to turn this on very easily. Enigma, you could probably block some of the small shields. Aurora, her weapon is 2 power. So, yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Also, just having extra D reacts helps you against New and Azuri and, you know, a little bit against Victor. So, that's a very good point there from Metal. If you spec into combo instead, you don't need the arm slot to be gallantry. That is actually very interesting. Very interesting. So you're talking about how you would just run Ironsong Versus, or you're talking about the new arm slot? I forgot the name of it, but yeah. That's actually very interesting, because a deck that cannot defend at all against the combo, you don't need the Gallantry Gold. And basically, if they have Pulse Wave Harpoon, what that means on your combo turn, generally is that you can't activate Gallantry Gold anyways. So that could be a sideboard slot saved, plus that extra 3 health, or 2 health on top of the Gallantry Gold, means could be the difference between living and dying. Like, combo often drops very low. So, yeah. I think as long as you see Luminas, you win versus Dio. Yeah, that's something you got to test a little bit more. I think. So from my experience, I've always found that if the mechanologist is a little bit smoother, you generally lose by just a little as Raiden Bolton. Like, you have to get a little bit more lucky or have a little bit more smoothness. Pulse Wave, but you only need 4 cards if you don't use Gallantry. Yep. So they'd have to boost 4 times the Harpoon. Yeah. So you would just show them the 3 cards that are not your combo. Just remember, San Jose, Josh, we were comboing Oldhams. Oh yeah, I remember that. Do you think they caught the Cerebellum system reset interaction, or they missed it and worlds will be ruined? I don't know what you're talking about. What is that? The Cerebellum system reset interaction. Okay, I'm very curious. We're going to go look that up. I tried it before versus, yeah, I think Bracers of Bolana isn't that good. Yeah, Bracers of Bolana is definitely the weakest. So I think the headpiece is probably the best, and then the legs are closely behind. But yeah, the Bracers of Bolana is a little bit of a trap card. They basically have 0 defense. Yeah. Steelblade Shunt for KO and Enigma. As Bolton, probably not. Metal Bolton coaching stream, maybe. Or maybe we can get him for an A to Z episode. That'd be pretty cool too. That all you got will help bridge it. Whenever you draw it into heroes, I mentioned, it's 2 HP basically. Helps bridge the close aggro. Yeah, that's very important that he's bringing up. A lot of the aggro matchups come down to you dropping very low, keeping a very good hand, and forcing the aggro deck to block, which is exactly where Bolton wants to be. So that couple extra health that's all you got gains you over the course of the game is really important. And Bolton can use a random card pretty well, because if it's a bad card, you just charge it into your soul. If it's a good card, then it's a good card, right? So the randomness of that's all you got is actually, you know, not that bad for Bolton. Busted. Yeah, we're gonna have to look up that interaction. I don't know what busted thing he's talking about. The CC meta is so boring to play, Warrior. Let's play Blitz. In Blitz we have Dory Quicksilver and the new card. I agree. I like that. Yeah, that could be hype. Yeah, we might. Uh, if you have a Discord, you can message me metal. We'll set something up. Uh, see if we can get you on an A to Z episode. I think you'd be a great guest for that. Okay, system reset flickers your items. Oh god. All right, let's see what this nonsense they're talking about. All right, so you were talking about system reset. Okay, let's just create a new dash deck. All right, so uh you're saying this card is busted with the processor card. God, what is this card? I haven't. It's been so long. Okay. All right. So you're saying these two cards are busted. Okay, let's see. System reset costs X. Banish X mechanologist items you control with cost 0 or 1, then return them to the arena under their owner's control. Okay. Cerebellum processor says, well, we know what this one does. 0 crank. Enters with tomb steam counters, destroys at the beginning of your turn. If you have no steam counters on it to remove. And you can, as an action, draw a card. So if you have multiple processors out and you pay 2, which is pretty easy, you often have 1 or 2 sitting around. So basically this is copies 4 through 6 of this, is what you're saying? Huh. Banish expect cost 0 1. And it would re-enter with 2 steam counters. This does not have go again. So isn't that an issue that this system reset doesn't have go again? Delete the VOD. Oh god. What? Have we stumbled into forbidden territory here? You need a lot of action points. Interesting, but okay. I can see this. If you have any item plus cerebellum, you gain positive action points by cranking. Oh, this doesn't have go again, but it'll come back in and then you crank it to get your action point back. Ah. And, heart will give you resources that you need? Huh. The draw card doesn't have go again, but if you banish 2 cards with crank them both, then you'd have 2 action points. And then you could draw a card. Okay, interesting. Crank all the items, yeah. Crank and then draw again with the same processor. Huh. I didn't know what this was. Interesting. That's pretty cool. You crank, you get 3 action points, and then when your deck is small, oh look, another system reset on top. Draws system reset. Oh, you could play this. Oh, I didn't even think about playing 2 of these in one turn. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, guys. Yellow Majestics. We know how good Yellow Majestics are, right? Lumina, Art of War, right? Yellow Majestics. You always gotta look at Yellow Majestics very carefully. Sonic Boom, for example. That's actually interesting. Let's go look up this. I'm pretty sure a lot of Yellow Majestics are busted, guys. So pitches for exactly 2, and it's a Majestic. Beast Within, God Tier. Amplifying Arrow, God Tier. Arc-like Sentinel, God Tier. Arc Lightning, God Tier. Our favorite bannerets, God Tier. Art of War, such a god tier card, it was banned. Berserk, such a god tier card, it was banned. Blood on Our Hands, iconic. Blood Rush Bellow, iconic. Bolting Blade, iconic. We won't talk about you. We won't talk about you. Cataclysm, oh my god, it's just so good. Look at all these yellow Codex of Frailty. Need I say any more? Holy shit. All the Figments are yellow Majestics. Okay, not all of these are like hits, but a lot of these are really good. Plow Under. Pulse of Candlehold. Oh god, this is one of the worst cards of the game. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of really solid cards are yellow. It's so funny that the mech hate is only for mechs. So only mechs can hate on other mechs. Sad day. Mind Warp, yeah. Where was Mind Warp? Yeah, Mind Warp. Goated card. Shatter. Right, guys? Shatter. Good old Shift. Sega Steel Blade. Soul Food. Guys, should I register Soul Food in my Bolton list? What do you guys think? I registered Soul Food in the very first U.S. Nationals. And I registered it in a calling. So I've registered Soul Food before. Spark of Genius. Goat. That all you got? Oh, the tomes. 2 of the tomes are yellow. Yeah, there's a lot of good yellow Majestics. Holy shit. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I have at least 5 games in a row on Talishar where I played 10 plus cards in a turn. And you weren't playing Acilio? Oh. Excuse me. That's actually crazy. If you can play 10 cards in a turn as Dash.io without Toma Fendel, that is concerning. I'll be frank. Data Doll gonna be so busted in Blitz, maybe. Gorgon's Gaze. We don't talk about Gorgon's Gaze. Cryptic Crossings spiked for a week due to Rosetta Cope. You know, Metal, that's actually a really, really, really important point to talk about. This is actually one of the strongest things for figuring out what the meta is going to be, is looking at... Is it this way to look at it? No, this is to look at TCG player. Because people invest money, they buy cards for decks they're gonna play, right? Now, Grasp of the Arknight, I think this has gone up so much in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so when was the Rosetta premiere? It was like early September, right? So it was like $60-something, right? And then now it's doubled. Doubled. And I mean, this tells you everything you need to know. Runeblade going to be very, 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 very popular in the PQ season. We're also seeing Lightning Greaves, Current Funnel, Gone in a Flash. These are all staples of the Aurora deck. Felling and Plow Under are staples of both of the Earth decks. Channel Lightning Value, obviously really good in Aurora. Okay, this might be the biggest clue we got in a while. Okay, well, the price is going down, but 5 people bought an Arcanite shard recently. All right, we see a couple, important Majestics. Truce climbing in price, which is interesting. Yeah, so basically, TCG Player gives a lot of information about what people are going to actually play. So, yeah. Radiant Force Field will be a terrace in the future. I highly doubt it. Just play Brute. We have the best mech hate. That is true. Brute does have a lot of item destruction. And they can destroy the mech suit, which is actually pretty cool. Soul Food was meta for a bit, unironically, in Prison 2. Yes, in, you could, yeah, I remember that. I don't quite remember the interaction, but yeah, you put cards into your soul, and then you can search out a figment. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, really good. Thrive was so busted it got Kraken's banned in LL. That's true. Dia with the system reset thing. Okay. Tech plating went from $10 to $30. Does this mean we have more Guardians coming to Worlds? Like I said, I would not be surprised if Victor is a dark horse because he beats the crap out of Viscerai. And Dash IO. I think the weakest matchups for Viscerai and Dash IO, because they want to keep 5-card hands, right? Their damage scales exponentially for every card that they can keep. Victor basically says, no, here's an on-hit. Here's a pummel. Right? So I actually think Victor would, we saw literally 0 Victors convert, but I mean, we did not see a lot of Viscerai or Dash IO at Leon, so yeah. I thought I missed my chance when I bought Grass for 83 weeks ago after it spiked from 50. I didn't miss it. You're good. Yeah, you got it half off, basically, yeah. This might be popular, I agree. So how's Bolton into Viscerai? It's pretty even. I would say you basically aren't running AB, so it's basically a race, which can be very swingy. Truce is very good in Enigma. That is true. We've seen some very degenerate Enigma decks running Truce and Count Your Blessings and stuff like that. Turn 0 Truce is OP. Correct. That's basically like putting a potion that says draw a card on the board. Enigma was playing Truce over the weekend. Yeah. So that could be a reason why the Truce card is going up. There were so in general, generic Majestics have like a price floor, right? And there were 4 generic Majestics in the last set. There was the 10-foot tall. There was the one that's 7 power and can't be defended by auras. And then Truce, and there was another one I forgot. But yeah. Guess we're on Dorinthia because of the amount of Rune Blades. I don't know. I think it's pretty close. I guess the question is there any, like, must-block turns from Rune Blades? If there is a must-block turn, then Bolton is a bit better because you're not attached to any hand. Whereas Dorinthia, if you have a counter, you're basically forced to keep some cards in your hand. All these Rune Blades and Wizards aren't ready for my Betsy with Smack to Reality taking all their auras. Ooh, that's a card I haven't heard in a long time. Hack to Reality, you mean, right? Yeah, this card. Your next attack is +2. The next time you hit a hero this turn, destroy a non-token aura they control. So, what type of auras are you trying to blow up with? What non-token aura are you trying to blow up? But he loses really hard to Enigma. Yes, the Victor does lose hard to Enigma, but I think this is a metagame where you just have to take your pick. Find something. Remember the old overpower list? Is that viable now with the amount of blocking decks? So you're talking about the one with that I played at Nats 2 years ago with like Iron Song response and overpower? I mean that list is basically, I mean, most lists nowadays look like that anyways. It's just they replace the yellow Iron Song response with Blade Flurry. What do you think about Soulbond versus Tunic for Vis? Flamedog told me he liked Soulbond more. Ooh, that's interesting. So I think the game is so short. I don't think you get 2 Tunics off of that. Now, if you're running the boots and the helmet, it might be worth it. Because you get, and saving grace, maybe you get enough value from it. I don't know. I feel like you don't. It's real close. I think if you think the game will go to turn 6, maybe Tunic is better, but it's real close. I considered Truce for Bolt and Dory with an agility up and a blue. We threaten theoretical 6 when we play Truce in Arsenal. Allowing us to set up a 6-card hand. That's an interesting thing, is that, like, Dory's blues suck. Truce could be like, I guess let's write it down here. That card might actually be much better than we think. Like, if you go first, isn't this just like the equivalent of putting a potion onto the board? It's a blue block 3. How bad could this card be? Like, if they don't attack you, you both gain 3. That's never gonna happen, right? Like, if you have a 3 of in your deck, the chance you draw this on turn 0, this is not that great in Bolton because you want to charge on turn 0. But, like, in most decks, going first is bad. I shouldn't say that, but in some decks, going first is bad because it can't put something onto the board or generate something like, you know, put a Techload Core or cast Bones or whatever, right? So Truce is actually like a good way to use your action point. That's a blue block 3. Like, how bad could it be? Yeah. Soul Bond gets turned off as soon as the rune chant goes off. That's true. Right. That's very important. That is actually extremely important to remember. Is that this is the first time you would be dealt damage each turn. I thought this was a bug on Talishar because I was a dumb and I didn't read it. I was like, why am I taking damage? I thought Soul Bond would protect me from this. And it's like, no, you've already taken damage this turn from a Kadachi. And I was like, oh my god, this is not as good as I thought. This is very good against, like, Guardian-esque, Brute-esque effects. So, yeah. Shimmers? Oh, you're gonna destroy Shimmers when you're hacked to reality. Sure. I think it's actually fine just to send your Raiden into the Shimmers. It's not a huge issue. No smack to reality. It's a Guardian card with Tower from... Oh, smack to reality, not hack to reality. Yeah, I hear you. Right. Oh. Oh, I see what you mean. So you're gonna play Betsy, give this dominate, no, sorry, give this overpower. Guys, is this the new Victor tech? Is Smack to Reality Victor the best deck in the format? Because you beat up Viscera, you beat up Enigma, you beat up Dash IO. Did we just solve the meta? Smack of reality, not Smack to Reality, Smack of Reality Victor. Maybe. Maybe. How do you feel about Fatal Engagement in this meta for Dory? It's fine. I think having one is fine. It makes people think about different things. Plus, Fatal Engagement is... You could target your Command and Conquer. I think an updated version of Overpower List could be very interesting. I think we need 2 Route versus Florian and others. Yeah, extra Route is good against Florian because of their chess piece. They're incentivized to block with it. And Route can be a 1-card 8 in those situations. Warrior needs a better card pool. Please, LSS. Yes. We have been on quite a journey this year as Warrior players. We started from the bottom, and then we had our highs, and then we got smacked. We got a smack of reality from Part of the Misfail. It would be for like 3 life, basically. Yeah, just extra life against Viscera. It might be worth it instead of having the Tunic resource. Yeah. I guess it depends how many on hits you really need to stop with the extra armor. I made that mistake too when I first used it. I even submitted a bug report. Exactly. I was submitting a bug report. My chat was like, read the card, Josh. I was like, oh shit. Oh no. I think us Domblade Dory should be on 2 to 3 red dauntless, 2 to 3 commanding. We should look at plow through. That's a whole nother strategy. If you're running like front pump Dory, that's a completely different deck. Then you might as well look into like Nature's Path Pilgrimage and stuff like that. Isn't the new card better version of this? Cut through the facade? Yes. This one's interesting. This is actually... Now, this can't be defended by auras, but they could just, in response, play more ward on the board. So, it's interesting. And if it hits a hero, that means all their ward is gone anyways, right? Right? So, I guess this is not for Enigma. This is for the other decks in the format. Prism is what you're talking about, right? This is anti-Prism tech, right? I've tried Dauntless. It's so hard to have Go Again, Dauntless, and 2 resource cards, though. If you're running Dauntless, it's mainly in a Tunic deck. If you're playing aggro Dory and you're trying to have a short game, the best strategy against Sink Below is just to have 2 attack reacts. Or overpower. Blocks 2, but easier for effect to go through. Yeah. Well, the other one deals 13. Okay. Well, that's also pretty big, too. You didn't even think of this with Victor and Goldmane Estate? You're talking about the Smack one? Yeah. What's your honest thoughts on Kasai? I think she just does not... She plays too fair, is the issue. And Blood on Her Hands got kind of nerfed because... Well, Kasai as a whole got nerfed because Cash-In got removed. Now, some Kasai lists weren't running Cash-In, but I think that was a pretty important card. Basically, you don't have any meaningful on-hits, and damage output isn't very high. You're also very soft to like combo decks like Max and Kano. Prism seems like an absolute nightmare. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think Kasai really does it right now. How does this beat up Enigma? It won't hit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was referring to the Prism Auras. Guardians and Warriors Unite? I don't know. They've been kind of not the best buddies for a while. Oldhim made me hate... Sorry, Starvo and Oldhim made me hate Guardian. Not hate Guardian. Dislike Guardian. Smack is anti-Rune Blade as well, getting rid of like 3 rune chance on hit. That's true. This says all aura tokens. The other one says an aura, right? So they're actually different, right? Cut through the facade is not good against the new prism. They are figments, not auras. Aha. Enigma has an easy time blocking it, so it would have to be with mites from estate or pummel. Okay. Facade also hits the permanent stuff versus rune chance like incantations, yeah. Yeah, I think the rune blades are playing a lot of auras these days. Like beyond rune chance. Yeah. Uh-oh, you missed tokens, you've been playing it wrong. Uh-oh. You've been destroying all auras they control? Oh man, Capomello. Your opponent never like picked up the card and read it then. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Alright guys. Okay, so it looks like we've kind of come to the conclusion that Bolton might be in a better position than Dory. Which is actually not what I was expecting coming into this. Very, very interesting. The chat is still kind of split. 3652 on which one's better. So, very interesting. Very interesting. So I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to, you know, look into Bolton more. If I really need to, I can pivot back to Dorinthia. I mean, either one of these decks, I actually think Bolton is a little bit harder to play. They're both. Neither deck is rocket science, but neither deck is actually very easy to pilot, especially at a high level. Yeah. It's interesting. So these both decks are obviously going to be dark horses, but which one is actually played less? I'm pretty sure Bolton has played less, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, Bolton's actually been playing more than Dory. Interesting. Let's look at September. Oh, they played about... Oh, wow, they played about even. Damn. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Well. So, neither deck is going to get a lot of bonuses from being a dark horse. Did you watch Flame Dog's deck tech? I did not watch his deck tech, but I did watch both of his matches on stream. He did well. It's also very inspiring to watch somebody that's a main of a hero playing it up against the boogeyman of the format and seeing them win. It's very, very inspiring. To be frank, the poll we voted on is at the start. We can't revote now. We've talked it through. Well, people have kind of voted in the middle as well, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to focus more on Bolton these next couple weeks. I will probably bring both decks to Worlds and kind of go from there. Are there any events between now and Worlds? So today's August 1st. So there's... Wow, there's not. It's literally just ProQuest. Okay. Battlehard. This is sealed, isn't this? Yeah. Okay, so there's a ProQuest Plus this weekend in DC. And then there's... Yeah, then there's, what? 4... 1, 2, 3... Okay, so they've gone back to 4-week ProQuest seasons. They used to be 3, but now it's 4. Interesting. Huh. Interesting. I mean, Dash IE will LL. I don't know about that. She needs 19 wins. Right? So she's at what? 9-10, right? So she needs 18 wins. She needs 18 wins out of what? 5, 4? How many events are there? $400 ProQuest events. So let's say half of them are CC. So she needs to win 18 of 200. 9%? Do you think Dash is going to win 9% of ProQuest? Dash IE has to win 9% of ProQuest to LL. I think it's going to be close. There's 2,000 LL points, so around 400. Why would they say more than 400 ProQuest events taken around the world if... Huh. Okay, if there's 400 CC events, then yeah. Then she only needs 4.5% of those. So I could definitely see that happening. Huh. Let's go MILB. Yeah. PQ results don't really mean anything. I agree. I definitely agree. I almost won a PQ on Olympia. They're kind of low skill environments in comparison to large events. Yes. 100% agree. People at Worlds are basically the most tryhard of all tryhards. So it's like... And ProQuest is the exact opposite, so... Count Your Blessings Dash IE will be winning those. Yeah, Slapdash will be most of those. There's like 2,000 L points, so around 400. Okay. Well, there you go. Okay. Now, another thing to consider is that all the Dash IO players are waiting for week 3. So maybe they're playing like Dash IE in week 1 and 2, so you never know. Plus, I think there's going to be a percentage of people that are like, hey, let's let Dash win so she can... Well, I don't know if Dash IE actually is that hated. I remember people would concede to Dromai so that Dromai would LL a little bit faster, so... Yeah. Yeah, no way Phi or Bravo LLs. Kano? This is a little bit too far away, I think, so... But also they said during their dev chat that they were going to change how they allocated the LL points. I think what they wanted to do was they are going to assign LL points based on the percent of events that a hero wins. So I don't know exactly. They said they're still working on that. They're going to have an announcement in Tokyo or in Osaka. I'm actually pretty upset. I wanted to do a draft PQ. There's like 10 CCPQs within 250 kilometers of me and 0 draft. I have the exact opposite problem. I have like 7 draft PQs near me and 1 CC PQ. So it's completely different. Dash IE feels like the first fair LL, if that makes sense. Yes, I agree. Another deck that kind of falls into that was Prism. Now, I know Prism is not exactly the most fair deck, but she LL'd at a very steady pace. Took her a long time to LL, but she was consistently accruing LL points. And then she LL'd at, what was it, PT2 in Leo. Yeah. Dash was never a menace. She just was good and accumulated points. So, yep. Okay. All right, guys. I think this is roughly where we're going to end things. Man, I forgot to have my gummies. Okay. We're going to come back next week with a tuned Bolton list that we've actually been working on for a while. And we're gonna play some games with it and all that. All right, let's try some of these gummies before we go. Little taste of Japan, you know. See what these are. Tough gummies for the warrior player in a tough meta, I guess. All right. Ooh. Okay. Oh, okay. So they're not individually wrapped. They just like have. Ooh. 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 Yep. All right. So we have like this, like, kind of yellow brownish looking one. It doesn't look like that on camera, but yeah. All right. So yeah, again, I can't read what it says, but apparently it says something there. So yeah. All right, we'll be able to tell what this is. Okay, it's sour candy for sure. What's so tough about them? They've got a real bounce and chew to them. It's not like gum. It's really got a bounce to them. Interesting. I've never really had a candy like this before. Normally when you have like gummy candies, you just bite them, they're gone, right? This, I'm biting into it, there's like a bounce to it. It's like, okay. It's like a cube. It's not even, it's tougher than gum. But it's not tough. It's like, it's so hard to describe. What the heck is this? It's not like Jell-O. It's it's much, I want to use the word tough, but that's not the right word for it. It's not tough. It's just bouncy. Really interesting. Yeah. It's not getting bit in half. Yeah, I don't know. It tastes really nice. Kind of like a Coca-Cola flavor. Like a lemon Coca-Cola flavor. Interesting. The saddest LL to be happening? Could be. Who's LLing first, Bravo or Phi? Ooh. If I had to guess, I think it's Bravo because he's going to get the Master Guardian set. And the Master Guardian set will probably be, yeah. Oh, yeah, Metal just... I swear I didn't read your comment. I came up with my own original thought. They're both so basic and too fair. Well, welcome to warrior life. That's just how it is. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me on today's stream. Thank you for helping me pick a hero for Worlds. That actually was very helpful. I had to, like, assign things in the meta, come up with themes about the meta, try to